test. Well, hello everyone, live from Mexico. It's the Gavin Syme Show. Late night. That's right, because it's past 10, which means it's past my bedtime. It's probably past your bedtime. It's definitely past my parents' bedtime. So anyways, we're live here, and I got a chat. Shout out to all of you in the live stream. Let me switch to this camera, because then I can see you, and I can read the chat over here, and you know the drill. You know how we do this, all right? So shout out to all of you in the live stream. Soy Gavin Syme, aquí en México, en este día de febrero, las 5:20:21. Bienvenidos, amigo pasas. So, wow, it's been a couple weeks, and I apologize because I've got this sweet live stream set up. I mean, I got dual cams running like this. I got lighting all freaking over the place, which is just barely out of camera. So if I were to zoom out, you'd see kind of lights all over. In fact, if I were to zoom out, hang on, let me button my pants. If I were to zoom out, there'd be lighting. Well, you can't really see much of it. There's my taco sign, though. All right, so I thought, even though it's a little late, I have been lax on the live streaming because I've kind of been sick the past couple weeks. Not like dead sick. I've also been busy with things, but I've been trying to get more of a consistent schedule. I still haven't decided on a specific day to do our regular show. I've been doing these live streams with the new system. Appreciate our supporters in Patreon, the super channels, the super chatters, the channel backers, bringing in some tacos from the back end. That sounds entirely wrong to say bringing in tacos from the back end because the tacos go in the front end, but sometimes the salsa comes out the back end, and I'm not going to go there. This is a mostly community friendly show that we do here on the channel. And first I had this gripo, the flu, the seasonal flu seems to be going around down here. Of course it's being called you know what, but you know the drill on that. It's the same old, but and then there's I think a stomach flu kind of going around, and it's this time of year, that's what happens. And so of course they're going to use this politically, the politicians are, to do anything they can, but it's okay. I'm just going to look at your chat, and I'm back here on the live stream, working on a consistent show day. And hello, everybody. Just freezing over the chat. You good, bro? You seem drunk. I think it's funny. I think people drink. I think all you guys are drunk too much. I got to be honest, because you seem to think that when I'm relaxed and can make a joke and have fun, the world is dark and sick. But I've been an entertainer for a long time. Long before I was doing activism, I was a ventriloquist, I was a square dance caller, and I was a regular goofball. And I danced, and I did all these things that most of you in school never learned how to do, because in the US they don't teach us how to dance, they just teach us how to shake around. But I was a square dance instructor, I was a ventriloquist, I can yodel, and so I actually like to relax. And I think it's funny that as soon as I relax and have fun and make a joke, people are like, oh, Gavin's drunk. I assure you, you've never seen me drunk. And because, well, I've never really been drunk. It's not really my style. I'll have a beer or a glass of wine now and then, but I don't do drunk. I think it's better to listen to God on that front and have a little moderation. On the one hand, on the hand of well, why shouldn't we be drunk? And you could say, well, because God says, if you're a believer. But I've learned firsthand that I always have to be ready to pull out a camera, to defend myself or others, to have my wits about me. And so if I ever drink a beer or maybe two with dinner with a friend or something, when my head gets to the point, you get on that second beer and you're like, hey, I feel it a little bit, I'm like, that's enough. Because if I go past feeling it, my mind's not going to be clear enough to go fight with a cop and keep them from kicking someone in the head. I know that sounds a little crazy, but that's how I think. So there's like a moral reason, but there's the reason why that moral reason was given. And now that I've seen that firsthand, it makes a lot of sense why the moral reason exists in the first place. Okay, so we're going to talk about a couple things. I don't want to get too deep tonight, but it's been a couple weeks, and there's been all this craziness in the inauguration, and you know, hey, wasn't something supposed to happen? Oh wait, it's like, you know, Trump's gone, but he's still controlling the military from behind the scenes. It's just, I remember in 2016, and you could go back to my page, and I could show you videos telling people in 2016, Trump's just another charlatan. Trump's not going to fix it. He's not going to make America great. A politician won't fix it. And they all told me, Gavin, you have to support him. We're going to hold his feet to the fire if he doesn't change things. And he didn't. He took more guns. He took more liberties. He abused more immigrants. He absolutely trampled the Constitution. And they said, no, just wait. Just wait. He's draining the swamp. Nothing was drained. Nothing happened. And now it's gone. And they're still saying, people are still this delusional. They're so lazy and so apathetic and so drunk on politics that they're still saying, just wait, just wait. Oh, now he's moved it out to March 5th. Pretty soon, it mind boggles me, the ignorance of our society. And then, you know, OG Monkey says, what do you think of Biden? And it's just we've cambioed. We've changed from one senile tyrant to another senile tyrant that arguably maybe is a little bit better of a politician than the previous senile tyrant. So, wow. It's a crazy world out there, guys. So, let's see. Thank you, Kurt. I can't say that I miss Moses Lake other than a few of you guys over there and my family and things like that. And I certainly don't miss the corruption there. Not that there's not corruption here, but I don't fear the police shooting me in the street down here, which is a good thing. And yeah, tyrants always take our rights away. Just looking in the chat. Always take a video of your Walmart experience. Search for Gavin Syme at Walmart, and you'll see some of my Walmart experiences, both in Mexico and in the United States. There's the one where my daughter touched beer, and so they wouldn't sell me beer because she touched it, and she touched the beer. She's like, oh, I said touch it. She touched it. Go watch the video where she touched my beer. That was interesting. The people at Walmart didn't like me very well, but everyone else was laughing. And yeah, they're both puppets. Guys, I ran for Congress. I tried to run as someone who's like, no, I'm going to be an activist. I'm going to fight for freedom. People didn't want that. They voted for the dribbling, senile politician that was like, let me see if I can mimic Dan Newhouse, who actually won that election because he had millions of dollars in backing from corporate agriculture and corruption. It was something along the lines of, I would get up there. You can search my speeches, right? In fact, let's do that right now. Let's do that. Let's switch over to the screen. Let's go to YouTube, and I'll just show you real briefly. Gavin Syme, Congressional Forum. I'm not going to make you watch the whole thing or anything. I'm just going to see if I can find. Here's a clip right here. Let me grab my phones, and I'll throw this clip up. And we'll switch the screen over here because we can do that now on the new setup. And let's just search. I think this is the one I'm looking for. And I'm just going to play you a little clip of this. Make sure. I think you can hear this. Hang on. Let's make sure everything's working. It's a one-man
We need to get legal.
Tonight.
We need to get with what happened.
Let's see what.
How can present Constitution?
You know, people always say, "Oh, Gavin, you've changed," but I haven't. I've come to realize that more and more that party is irrelevant, even though I knew it quite a bit then. I've come to realize that we're not going to fix it by running for office. But here on my left is Clint Didier. Him and I got along the most, but he was still kind of, you know, go Republicans, but we kind of were on the same page on the Constitution. And then you had all these guys. But of course, the guy that won this congressional race was the man that said nothing. So here was, I would do like this.
Voting, standing on principle, and unstoppable conversations. What do you want from America? Because we should,
by the way, America's Mexico too.
Liberty's not something to be hidden away in dusty shelves. We should be teaching it to our children and grandchildren. We should be holding it up in front of us every single day of our lives. And if we are not, we are failing our posterity.
So yeah, that was me, right? In 2014, over here on the left, here's Dan Newhouse. Here's the guy that won. At some points, there was like 12 candidates in this race, but there was like 5 or 6 major contenders spending lots of money. Look at this. Here's the guy. This is Newhouse. He's the guy that would won, and I could mimic him pretty well at the time because his speeches were always something like, well, let's switch that camera again. I'm not going to watch this whole video. You guys can go look for these videos. And those of you that follow my congressional race know how that went. But how did Dan Newhouse speak? How did the man that won the election speak? Let me see if I can do it. America, I want to thank you all for being here tonight. Because America is beautiful, and because of freedom and the foundations, we rise together as Republicans, as men, women, believers in faith and God, and we bind together for the agriculture, the community, dams, for the nuclear bombs, freedom, because America. And that's what it's all about. Thank you all. And that was about the profundity, is that a word? Profundity of the speeches. And guess what? Dan Newhouse is still in office. How many years later? 6? How many terms has he been reelected now? Because here's the problem. And it goes back to the title of this video. Is it even worth talking about? The problem is the people don't want truth. They don't want freedom. They don't want defenders of liberty. They don't want justice. The Trump supporters don't want Constitution. They don't want freedom. They don't want justice. They want their side to have power over those that they hate, and they want to be able to bomb the people that they feel intimidated and threatened by, that don't believe the way they do. What it really comes down to is the Biden supporters want to put in prison those who protest the way they don't like, those who wear the hats they don't like. What it really comes down to in the United States of America is no one wants freedom or justice or peace. A few of us do. But those who follow party and politician don't. What the United States wants is to kill the neighbors that don't think like they do, lock them in camps, put them in prisons, and silence them at the barrel of a gun. That's what the USA wants. That's what the Trump supporter wants. That's what the conservative patriot Christian wants. That's what the Second Amendment so-called defenders want that are running out joining their NRAs and their gun clubs. That's what the Biden and the Obama supporters want. Everyone wants to hate. And all the way back, as far as you can find my videos, I was saying, look, I have my beliefs, but I want liberty. And I watched the entire, what I thought was a movement for liberty. And the people and the politicians, I watched them over the past 6 years sell out, eventually sucking on the big toe of Donald Trump because he'll bring us the power to control the people that we hate and to dominate the people that disagree with us. I think in 60 seconds, I've just summarized the political, spiritual, and religious state of the United States of America. But correct me if I'm wrong. It's crazy. And yeah, there's more freedom in Mexico, but there's still corruption. I see these police around here, and I'm like, pinche policia, vete la Puebla. And it sucks. But you know what? At least they can't shoot me in the street and just get away with it. All right? And everybody always wants to come back to it. Every time. You can't stop, can you? And I see it in the comments. I see it in the videos. Every time it comes back to the same. Well, Biden's guy did this. Well, Trump's guy did that. I don't care. They're all hacks. They're all shills. They're all the same. Biden and Trump work for the same corruption, you guys. And so I think it's been interesting because we watched this stuff going on the past few weeks, right? What about the videos? I was going to talk briefly about these. I don't want to give them too much time, but I admire a good protest. Let's switch it. Thanks, Carl. The protest at the Capitol, right? Pushing the police out of the way.
It's okay, we ain't gonna
Pushing
do that to
indoors. Right? Police throwing bombs at people. Who are the real enemies here? The police are throwing grenades at people. All these people, look at this. There's the rockets' red smoke are flying through the air at the protesters. Now let's talk about that. We don't need to watch a lot of videos. You guys have all seen that in the news. All right. Wow. And I'm looking at the Patriots, I guess, and thinking, wow, for once, you're protesting for real. Because that's what real protesting looks like. That's what it looks like from the Founding Fathers. It's what it looks like in Europe. It's what it looks like in Mexico. Only in the USA does I shouldn't say only, some other countries get away with this. If people were kicking in doors of the president's office or the governor's office and pushing police out of the way, the news wouldn't get away with saying they were domestic terrorists. That would be a good day of protesting in Mexico. And in the US, it's always faction against faction. So it's a right-wing protest. And obviously they're there, Trump's in his penthouse or whatever he's at, drinking and enjoying the show while the ants out there march for him. And they're out there saying, well, the election was stolen. Okay, let's not even get into whether there's corruption in the elections. Obviously there's shady stuff going on in the elections. Yes, we've noticed that if you go to the inauguration video, there's 10 times more dislikes than upvotes. And I'm like, well, who voted for you, Biden? Because why is there 10 times more downvotes than upvotes? That might tell me more than the actual claims from people on the election. But that's not the point. The police were the only ones murdering people at the Capitol that day. And so I'm watching the Patriot movement, and they're protesting for all the wrong reasons. Seriously, you're there to fight for Trump? The guy that completely trampled all his promises, trampled the Constitution, and totally ignored all the liberty things he said he would do. Of course, we knew that. If you were paying attention to liberty, if you were awake at all, you could have watched Trump in 2016, and it was completely obvious, just like I talked about in 2016, that this is not a man who defends liberty. This is a man who defends faction and divides brother against brother so he can get power. And it was so blatantly obvious when he was running for office. And I was just like, what is wrong with everybody? You really don't care about liberty, do you? You just want an emperor that's on your side. And that's the problem. And that's why we've lost our freedom. I'm not interested in your party. I'm interested in peace. And that's always what I've tried to pursue. So yeah, but I don't want back in the USA. I'm not looking to go back to more slavery. I want all this BS that's going on now to quit. I want people to stop tolerating the fear and all this stuff. I want people to unite. I'd like to see the U.S. come back to an element of freedom and liberty, but it won't. It has to collapse. Financially, it's going to collapse. Economically, it's going to collapse. Spiritually, it's already collapsed. It's gone. The United States has been gone for a long time. And so when people are like, USA, USA, or they're like, America, the people screaming America don't even know what America is. Really, go look at a map, because I'm in America down here in Mexico. America for Americans. And I'm like, you realize Mexicans, Guatemalans, Colombianos, y todos son Americanos, sí? But no, because racism and fear and hate is how our government for decades has sold us nationalism. And through nationalism, they've made us slaves. Because when you put your country before justice and before liberty, you're a fraud. You're not a defender of liberty. You don't want freedom. You don't want constitutions and justice and due process. Let me repeat that. When you put your country before justice, you're a fraud. And you don't believe in freedom. Salute the flag. Be patriotic. You're not a patriot. because you worship politicians. That's all it comes down to when you support the party line and the nationalism. Nationalism isn't really patriotism. It's the worship of the politicians that you think will give you what you want. And so as pharmacy peddles fake medicines that kill us, imagine if marijuana in a year killed as many people as pharma has in the past week with their new medicines. It would be banned worldwide. And yet people are lining up. This is the level of ignorance. This is the level of ignorance that comes from sending our kids to government schools. This is a level of ignorance that comes from being a socialist country like the USA. This is the level of ignorance that comes from not having the balls, as Stephen Ruth would say, to stand up. It's Cam, everybody, good to see you. I think my wife's in there somewhere. Shout out to my sexy lady. And yeah, if my wife's watching, she should come in and say hello to me. And so we see these protests, we see people trying to stand up. But look, I mean, the protest at the Capitol was people protesting for what? For their emperor? So their tyrant could be in power? Now, don't get me wrong, I admire a real protest. And then when the protest was over and Trump denounced it, they were like, oh, that wasn't patriots. That was Antifa. Like, that's gonna, you know, we're gonna distance ourselves from it. And I'm like, well, I don't know. But if it was Antifa and Black Lives Matter, they sure have a lot more balls and know how to protest better than you patriots do, if that's who was at the front kicking in the doors, because that was real protesting. That's what a protest should look like. Not hurting people, not violence, but a real protest. A real protest should make your government afraid. If it doesn't make your government afraid, it's not much of a resistance. Hi, Hattie. There's my girl. I don't think they can see you.
Hola.
Okay. Anyways, you get the idea. Kelly Stewart, some of these other guys have been out there. The people like James Freeman, people like Josh Martinez out filming the police and doing good work. I mean, always keep those cameras rolling. This is Kelly. This is the Capitol.
Oh, they've
the
just all
Washington
been
State
sitting
Capitol.
at home, bored
It's funny.
during COVID.
Kelly's so
They're
good
just
with this.
happy
Let's
they
listen.
got called up and they get to put on their spiffy clothes.
Kelly's great because she's a woman, she's little, and she kind of plays nice with them, but she says she just totally burns them all the time. Just for a second, we'll listen.
Come stand here looking tough.
This is the military and the police preventing the public from accessing their Capitol building. That's legislation without representation. That's illegal. That's treason. Depending on how you interpret treason. But the point is the enemy's right here. The enemy's wearing the uniforms. The enemy is in blue, but they make us think the enemy is the other party. And so we make the other party the enemy, and we always just fight with ourselves.
Violating the people. We should stand out here all day just so they have to stand out here all day and they have to think about what they're doing. Think about the fact they're on the wrong side. Think about the fact that they're actually upholding treason right now to keep the people out of their own building. Yeah, that's what you're doing, is you're just upholding treason. You like being an oath breaker? You like keeping people out of their own building? It makes you feel tough? Makes you feel really big? Huh? You like keeping women and children out of their building? You must. You must, or you'd stand down. You'd say, I can't violate the oath that I took. I can't do it. I can maintain peace. I can't keep these people out of their own building. It's their building. The Constitution forbids me from keeping them out of this session. The people can't come in. The legislators don't meet. But no, all these people, they just love law and tyranny so much. They love being the tough guy. They're at war, all right. But I'm sure they were told you have to wear.
Building, guys, you got the wrong message. Yes.
National Guard.
Look at these cowards just hiding in their caves. Ay, good Lord. I don't know if you guys saw it. Did I have it switched? I may not have switched it too. You heard Kelly talking. She's just standing here looking at the fence. I should have
Oh,
switched.
they've
to
just
it.
all been sitting at home, bored during COVID. They're just happy they got called up and they get to put on their spiffy clothes and come stand here looking tough.
It's safe.
Their eyes look so empty.
Zombie apocalypse.
They don't mind being on the wrong side right now. Or about law and order. They love.
Kelly just get right in their face, and she'll just lecture them. She'll just tell them what scum they are. And I've always respected that about Kelly because she doesn't pretend. I remember back in the days. I remember being on the phone late at night with Kelly in the early days, and her being like, "Well, some of the police must be good." I mean, and I'm like, "Well, I'm not finding any, Kelly." And yeah, she does great work. So it's like people are trying to fight, but the fact is, there's like less than 1% of 1% that are really out there that get the idea of it's not about your party. Screw your party. It's not about Trump. It's not about Biden. It's about resisting all the politicians. They're all frauds. It's about resisting all the police. It's about recognizing that the soldiers aren't heroes and they're not protecting your freedom. They're just following orders and murdering and killing and stealing. That's reality. And if that still offends you, if it still offends you, the idea that your police are the enemy of freedom, that the U.S. Army is the enemy of freedom, that the National Guard is the enemy of freedom. Now, I don't know if it's always been that way. Haven't been alive since the beginning. But right now, we have a nation run by murderers. And people are all distracted saying, look what he did. Oh, look what that guy did. Look what that guy did. Oh, that guy's a criminal. That guy should be in jail. Those protesters were violent. Those Black Lives Matter. They should be. Those people over there. Oh, those right-wing protesters. It's the same garbage from both sides. They're both wanting to stop in some way the same thing, and yet they're both fighting against each other instead of the real enemy because they're distracted by their idol. And it's crazy. This video of Kelly was actually on Ammon Bundy's channel, but just go follow Kelly Stewart's pages and stuff on Facebook. She really should have more of her own channel, I think, because she's really good at this. But it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So I just kind of wanted to talk about this because the world is insane. It's upside down. It's backwards, just like the title in the poster of my video, Insanity Backwards, is what that said, in case you didn't figure out the poster frame. And people don't love their neighbor. People that say they're Christians don't act like Christ. People that say they love freedom don't defend freedom. People that say they defend the law and are law enforcement don't defend the law. People that say they want justice don't defend justice because they don't care. They want power for them. And until you stop looking for power for you and your people and your party, you're never going to have freedom. And I think that's the problem. So yeah, how long have I been going? I need to wrap up. It's late. And I've been going for almost 30 minutes. I started this show already late. I don't want to go too late. And I'm just kind of looking over your chat. And yes, Fly House of Truth. Some police are less bad, but that doesn't make them good. And that's the problem. Just because we've gotten so far down, we've fallen so far that a police officer who's polite doesn't rob you or kill you, you say, wow, that was a good cop. That's mind-boggling to me. Like if you see me on the street and I say, hi, I'm not going to rob you today, and I'm not going to murder any of your family. Do you go away and you're like messaging your friends? I mean, let's see if we can do this. Like, let's see if we can simulate this situation. I'm walking down the street. Hey, how's it going, bro? Yeah, I'm not going to murder you today. I'm not going to rob you today. I'm not going to kill your family today. It's all good, bro. And this is you. Wait, I just met the coolest guy on the street. He was great. He was super ethical. He didn't rob me or kill. I mean, come, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now? This is how we measure good? We don't measure good in today's world. We measure good as someone who doesn't murder you, rather than good as someone who defends you from being murdered. Think about that. Thanks, Gary Larry. You should do a live video with Brian from High Impact Flicks. Maybe. I do want to start doing some more collaborations. It's just I'm trying to get all the system dialed in, and I find myself to be more reliable sometimes than other people, but I do want to collaborate with some of the other people. I want to get people like Kelly on here and things like that and do more of these. So it's crazy. It's crazy. So just don't take the pill. Don't take the poison. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. How many ways are there to say it? I don't even know how to say don't drink the Kool-Aid in Spanish. I'm sure there's a lot of phrases for that. But you know what? What are we fighting for? Because people want their slavery. So I came to Mexico, and there's a bit more freedom. There's a lot more freedom here. There's still corruption. People sometimes fight harder here, but you have more personal freedom, and I think that's important. The police don't get away with as much. The government, fascists, are far less organized, and I think that is a powerful, useful thing. So at the end of the day, I can try and stand up. I can try and defend others. I can try and love my neighbor as myself, like Jesus would. And that doesn't mean handing out Bible tracts. It doesn't mean quoting John 3:16. It means caring about other people. It means helping people. It means defending people. It means speaking out. It means resisting evil and injustice. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to be the same for everyone. I think we should always be avoiding violence, but I was always, and still am when I protest, when I film, it's always about resisting. If people have enough balls to resist, a few of them, then you don't need violence. You just need to say no. All this stuff going on right now would have ended a year ago. Well, it's not been quite a year. It would have ended 9 months ago if people had just been educated and informed and not brainwashed and said, no, we're not stopping our lives because of your fear. And yet here we are. Here we are in an era where the big media, YouTubes and Twitters and Facebooks control what is considered truth. And you can't be legitimate media unless you agree with their political agenda or unless you carefully avoid the code words that get us banned. It's 1984, I guess. But anyways, I digress. I'm running out of steam, as we say in English. And I think it's time to wrap it up for tonight. I just wanted to cover some of these events, some of how crazy the world's being, and let me know what you guys want to see in more live streams. I do plan to make at least a once weekly show that's consistent on a certain time. I'm just kind of still working on plans and figuring out how to figure that out. Thank you all for your blessings and for your kind words and your support, to our channel backers, to our Patreons, to people in super chats and all that stuff. I appreciate your guys' support. And we'll do another live stream soon. I don't want to make this one too long. I just wanted to catch up with you guys, give you all a shout out, and talk about, wow, crazy, crazy world out there. And we'll just keep trying to, I guess, make it a little less crazy as much as we can. But I think the best way to do that is to resist. Resist Blue ISIS, resist corruption, resist party, resist faction. Stop joining clubs and start joining with freedom and liberty and justice, not with faction. Thank you all. Again, shout out to all of you in the chat room here. And we'll talk soon. Peace.